Hello everybody and welcome back to the Leeds Lens. Noah Okafor is set to become a Leeds United player. We said yesterday in yesterday's video that he was getting really close. Well, now it has happened. We have got that. Here we go. From Fabrizio Romano. Fantastic news, especially coming off that fantastic win for last night for Leeds United as well. 1-0, of course, against Everton in the first game. And now we've got a here we go for Noah Okafor. Of course, with Okafor, he did fail a medical in January. So let's see if he does actually get through Leeds medical. It's not an absolute certain yet, but I would imagine this deal gets done now. I do know, obviously, Leeds United will have done the research into the injuries. So unless there's anything else on top of what we already know about Okafor in terms of injuries, this deal will get over the line, which is fantastic news. I'm going to talk a bit about that in today's video. A lot about that, actually. That's a main part of the show today. We're also going to discuss briefly Schmidt as well, of course. He again, he's edging close to Werder Bremen. There's a bit of an update there, so we're going to talk about that. Is that actually going to happen? And also, finally, we are going to discuss the Paraag Marathe interview before, obviously, the Leeds United game yesterday. There's a few key quotes there that I think we can talk about as well. So that is going to be the news segment for today. As I said, there's also going to be a video later this evening as well regarding like a sort of final chat of Leeds United yesterday, because there's a few things that I've since recording or since filming my reaction yesterday, there's a few extra things there as well, so keep tuned and stay active for that. And also, before we get into the video as well, if you could help the channel by dropping a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, massive helps the channel. And you know what it is? There's so much positivity going on in Leeds United yesterday. Let's see if we can smash the likes on this video. That would be fantastic. I'm also nearing as well 1,000 subscribers, so if you could help with that, that would be fantastic. But yeah, Noah Okafor, he's the man we're here for. He's the man we're talking about. Fabrizio Romano has said that Noah Okafor, 20 million euros, so that's about 17.2 million pounds, fee agreed with AC Milan, 4-year contract, plus the ability to have an additional year as well. If you want, so potentially 5 years. I think that's up to Leeds United, and a medical to be scheduled within 24 hours. What do I think about Okafor? Now, I've obviously talked about Okafor for a few days now, and we know he's a fantastic dribbler. We know he can play across the front line. We know he can offer options up front. We do think predominantly he's going to play on that left-hand side. I think that's where he will feature most. I think the new things that we can sort of talk about Okafor is that we've watched Leeds United now. We've seen Leeds United in a competitive game this season, and we know that we do need bodies in attacking areas. And I think bringing Okafor in, I think he instantly starts on the left-hand side over Gnonto. I think potentially you could put Gnonto on the right-hand side. I don't think he's going to do that. I think he'll stick with James. But it does give him an option that he can put Gnonto there, because I thought of the two wingers yesterday, Gnonto was better. But I do think, as I said, Okafor, bringing him in, he's going to be massively paramount to Leeds United's success this year. I think this is a really good signing for Leeds United, and one I'm really glad we've got over the line. And also, as I mentioned as well, the price point is such a nice price point, because it still allows Leeds United to go into the market and potentially look at the likes of a Bakauer or a Nico Gonzalez, because I do think Leeds need bodies on that left-hand side. But yeah, in terms of Okafor as a player, I think he offers something different. Like, this is what I've mentioned. I think he offers something different. I don't think we've got a winger like him. I don't think we've got a strong, tall, powerful, quick winger. I think we've obviously got James, who offers the pace, but he's not as good a dribbler as Okafor. We've obviously got Gnonto, who is a much better dribbler, but then does he offer that blistering pace that Okafor does? Potentially not. And I don't think, obviously, we've got a winger who is a quote-unquote goal-scoring winger. Like, you look at what Salah is at Liverpool, you look at what Luis Diaz was at Liverpool, you look at what Gakpo is at Liverpool. There are a few examples. That is what you get with Noah Okafor. That's the sort of winger he is. He started out up front, and that's where he played for Salzburg. And then when he went to Milan, he started on that left-hand side. It's almost a similar trajectory to Marcus Rashford. I know people won't like that comparison because he just plays for the scum. But that is in terms of what you're expecting. He's someone that likes to get the ball on the left-hand side, cut inside, and look for a shot. If that's going to work with Calvert-Lewin up top, I think that's something we're going to have to look to. But I do think, I do really like this sign. I think it's going to be really good. I'm really excited about it. Of all the signs we've made, I was really excited for Stack. I was actually really excited for Biol. But Okafor is one that I am really, really excited about. I think he offers a lot. I actually think he offers a lot as well in sort of terms of like tactical flexibility. Because I do think at times, and I might be wrong here, but I do think at times Leeds United might do a back five this year. I think that has been mentioned in pre-season by Daniel Farke as a potential option, and I do think that will provide an option. And when I watched us yesterday, I could see us potentially going to Arsenal next weekend and operating with a back three of Rodon, Strauch and Biol, with Goodmanson and Bogle as your fullbacks, and then hitting the flat midfield of Stack, Tanaka and Ampadu, who were obviously sensational last night. And then when I look to where we go then with the two front men, if we were going to do that, I think Okafor, with the profile that he is, where he can sort of be an inside forward, but also has the instincts of a striker. I think in a two up front, if we went with that and say it was Calvert-Lewin and Okafor, I think that would be a really nice combination. And I haven't seen anyone else mention this, which is why I thought I'd mention it on the video. But I don't think like a Nonto and a Calvert-Lewin works as well as an Okafor and Calvert-Lewin, because they're both almost like both got striker instincts. And if Okafor does play up front in a two, I'm not saying this to happen. It might be a bit of a fan theory in my head. But if them two do combine up front, Okafor and Calvert-Lewin, we know they both run the channels really well as well. So I do think it does give us some tactical flexibility. And also as well, like people are sort of crying about this signing, it's not quite the level. This is a guy that's just had a fantastic pre-season. I mean, there's only a few weeks ago that he scored a brace against Liverpool. Now, I think Liverpool potentially will be a bit suspect defensively this year. But in terms of what Leeds United are expecting, I mean, come on, let's live in the real world. Like he's had a fantastic pre-season. And I know obviously with Calvert-Lewin, he hasn't come straight into the team. But he hasn't played a proper season. This guy's had a fantastic pre-season. I do expect him to be involved in the Arsenal game. Now because he's had a full pre-season at AC Milan. He obviously had a really good game against Leeds United as well. I think there's a lot of positives with this signing. And the other thing I will say as well about signings is I am getting to the point with the 49ers, and again, when I watched Leeds play last night, they're just good at making signings. Like we don't miss. Like we actually don't miss. Like a lot. How many signings have the 49ers made so far that you go, that is totally terrible? Maybe Ramazani hasn't quite worked, but I still think there's a fantastic player in there. I think he's going to end up going out on loan actually for the record with Ramazani. But I still think there's a player in there. All right, Jed Spence was a potential miss. But around about that, I can't really think of another poor signing they've made, to be honest. And like I'm looking at them last night, the three new lads. Perry, all right, I think there's a bit of work to his distribution, but in terms of his commanding of his area and he made a smart save, I think he looks a good signing. Like Goodmanson looked fantastic last night. I don't know what that idea was that he played for Blackburn and Ipswich. That isn't even true, but it was mentioned on Sky, but that isn't true. But yeah, he looked fantastic. In the midfield, Stack looked fantastic. So at what point do we have to just trust the 49ers know what they're doing? Like, these lads know what they're doing. I know we can give opinions, and that's what this whole channel's about, so I don't want to ruin the sort of fan opinion of signings. But at some point, you've got to go, well, look, they've made so many good signings now. Let's just back the signings, and just see how it goes, because they obviously know what they're doing. They're obviously seeing things that people are not doing, picking up on these signings. So yeah, I'm having watched last night again, and having watched the last 2 years of the 49ers signings, I think that, yeah, I think that there's I think we've got to start getting to the point where we go, well, these lads know what they're doing. Like at Brighton, I don't think they're going, what are we doing at Brighton? Like, what a crap signing this is. They just trust the process. I mean, I think we're getting to a point with Leeds United where I think you might have to trust the process a bit. Again, that doesn't mean that you can't have your opinions on players. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to cover my opinions on players. But I do think that we are getting to that stage with the 49ers. Like they just don't seem to miss at the moment. And obviously, we've still got new players coming. Calvert-Lewin's got to come back in this team that we've signed. Biol, we haven't seen any of him yet in a competitive game. Longstaff, we haven't seen much of him in a competitive game. So there's still signings to be made, to be integrated. But yeah, I think with Okafor, we've got to trust it. And also, like, this is a guy who went on loan to Napoli last year, who ended up winning the league. Like, Antonio Conte, who is at Napoli, he's no mug. Like, there's a reason that he took him on loan. It's not just because he's garbage. Like, why did the Serie A champions take him on loan in January? Because there's obviously something in there, and we know he's had Premier League offers as well, but has chosen Leeds United. So yeah, I think this is a really encouraging situation. I also think it's encouraging as well that we've got him over the line. I do think he potentially looked at Leeds United last night to see where we're about before signing for Leeds, and that's not a bad thing. Like, that isn't a bad thing. That shows he's obviously a player that wants to be playing Premier League football, and we can understand that. But what it does do as well with last night's win is that, again, it will attract more players, because we've got this win over the line. We've got Okafor now. I think if you're a player like potentially El Kudus, even though it looks like he's off to Crystal Palace now. But someone of that ilk, you look at that and go, actually, with a few more extra attackers, and I back myself, we can really make a fist of this. So yeah, I think it's I think this is overall. I think with the Okafor thing, really strong deal. And the other thing I think which is nice about this is that obviously I think it puts an end probably to the Solomon situation. I don't think Solomon's obviously going to sign for Leeds United now. I think that is our left winger. As such, I know as I said he can play up front, but I think that is our left winger signing as opposed to our up front signing. Because I think potentially we will be another striker in as well on top of this. So yeah, really pleased with the Okafor thing. Tactical flexibility, offers something different. Yes, the injury records could be a risk, but we said the same thing about Solomon. Players do get injured as well. So yeah, overall, very happy with Okafor, but I am interested to know what you guys think as well. So let me know in the comments below. I always respond to every comment as well. I've sort of made that sort of, until it's impossible where I'm getting too many comments, hopefully. Right now, I will respond to every single person who comments. So yeah, if you've got a different opinion, let me know. Schmidt to Werder Bremen then. Florian Pretterberg said there's still no agreement between Leeds and Werder Bremen for Isaac Schmidt. Schmidt and Werder Bremen have reached an agreement in principle, so I think he's agreed terms to go to Werder Bremen. And he also they're also targeting somebody else now called Elias Brom. I think with Schmidt, we are just waiting now to see who we get in the fullback situation. I do expect Schmidt to leave this summer. We've seen him in pre-season. He has had chances now. I know it's only pre-season, but he has had chances, and he's just not at the game. He's not at the races. Potentially that is when I run about 49ers missing a signing. Maybe he is one that you could point to potentially. But again, we only spent £3 million on him, so I mean, come on. But yeah, I think he's a player that will probably we'll probably leave this summer. I just think Leeds United are currently waiting to get the likes of a James Justin, see the updates there. Obviously, he did pick a knock up at the weekend, and we're still waiting to see how that progresses. But yeah, I do think Isaac Schmidt will leave this summer. I don't think he's at level of the Premier League. And I also think if you take him out to the Bundesliga on loan potentially, if we don't get like an agreement over a deal, you could potentially sell him for next summer for a bit more money as well. So yeah, anyway, that's the situation with Isaac Schmidt. I just thought I'd update everybody because there has been a bit of information there. Finally then, Paraag Marathe's interview yesterday. Obviously he said when on the bus that we're going to spend the parade last summer, that Leeds United are going to spend every penny that we obviously get. I still think that will happen. He also got asked on Sky Sports yesterday, sort of, will there be more action? And he said that absolutely there will definitely be more signings before the window shuts, which is obviously positive. I do think Leeds United will make more additions. I don't think Okafor by anywhere near the last one. I still fancy us to get a fullback, and I still think after Okafor we might get 2 more attackers. One thing that I do want to pick up though, and the reason I wanted to bring this into the show is that he said that Leeds' strategy, there's always a lot of movement in the last few weeks of the transfer window, and he's absolutely bang on. And then he went further and said, even in the last few days. And I think that points towards what we've seen from the 49ers in previous years, which is that, and I've talked about this all transfer window now, which is that if you want a certain caliber player that has other options, like we'll use El Kudus as an example, is the perfect example. If you're El Kudus, you will sign for Leeds United because he wants to play in the Premier League. He doesn't want to play in the Championship. But when you know you've got Spurs on the table, when you know you've got Palace on the table, who are in Europe, by the way, and in London, which potentially is a pull for players, when you know you've had Leipzig on the table, when you know there's potential of Villa looking at you as well, what do you do as a player? Well, you go to Leeds United, I will join, but I want to wait to see if I've got a better offer elsewhere. And Leeds United could move on at that point. Or we could go, well, actually, this is the type of player and the level of player and the level of standard of player that we actually want. So we are willing, and which we've done in the past, to wait to see if we can get this player over the line. And if not, we'll move on to somebody else. And we've seen this last summer. Last summer, the same thing happened with Ayo Tanaka. And the same thing happened with Ramazani. Ramazani, when we signed him, there was some clip, and it was the same with Tanaka, where it was basically stated that he had other offers, but they didn't end up occurring, and then he came to Leeds United because at that time we were in the Premier League. We were aiming for players that obviously could play in the top 5 leagues, even though we weren't in the top five leagues at that point in time. And we were obviously aiming and pushing above our weight almost with the signings. And it was the same with the Tanaka deal. Tanaka was done on deadline day last summer. And again, Tanaka would believe, and it was reported that he wanted to sort of play in the top 5 leagues, but he would come to Leeds United if there wasn't any offers on the table, and nothing progressed in terms of offers on the table. And on deadline day, he goes, all right, then I'll sign for Leeds. Now, we might not like that approach, but that is how it is. And now, obviously, we would better sign Tanaka now if we were at the year below. But now we were competing in an echelon where we're trying to compete with the relegated teams last year for players, and potentially at times, like with the Hamer thing, we lost out to him because he wanted to go and play for Sheffield United at that point in time. But now we're competing with European clubs. So we're a newly promoted club trying to compete with European clubs. So again, we're trying to fish in a market that's above, almost quote unquote, above our pedigree. And when you do that, they've got offers in Europe. So you've got to wait and wait and wait and hopefully then pick up a target late in the window. The likes of Bakauer, who obviously has been linked to Forest, and that's now not come about. Like Nico Gonzalez, who Atletico Madrid have looked at, but it looks like they want to pay about 20 million euros. And AC Milan or Juventus, should I say, want about 30 million euros, so that might not happen. And you get later in the window, and players go, all right, I wanted to go to Atletico Madrid. They were my number one choice. They didn't stump up the money in case of Nico Gonzalez. It gets to deadline day, and he goes, right, I'll come to Leeds. And that's what Leeds United are waiting for. It might not be Nico Gonzalez. It might not be Bakauer. It might not be El Canous. It might not be Zolis, any of these players. But there'll be another player in that ilk who is a sort of quote-unquote Europe or Europe level player. It's a player that could play in Europe that will be in that situation, and then we will jump on it. So I do actually think, and I've thought this for a while, and I've said it in a number of videos in terms of El Canous, but I think this in general. One of these players, or our statement signing this window, I think will be made in the final sort of 24 hours of the transfer window, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think that is because of what I explained, because they've got other options on the table. And if you look back at when we got Rafinha, for example, we signed Rafinha on deadline day. He was a signing on his deadline day. He was the best signing of the summer by an absolute mile. Was done on deadline day, and I think again this is what's going to happen. The only clubs that are not in this sort of situation where they're trying to shoot above their weight are clubs like Liverpool's and Man City's of the world, who basically get who they want because they're the top of the tree. But if you're not the top of the tree, we've seen it with Newcastle. They're not the top of the tree, and they're trying to take on the likes of Liverpool's with signings. And if you look at sort of like João Pedro, who went to Chelsea, who they wanted, or Ekatike, whoever's ended up going to Liverpool, and they're trying to compete with these signings, and they're missing out constantly. Well, Leeds United are doing the same thing, but we're just losing out to teams like Forest because again they're in Europe and we're not. So again, with Newcastle, like I'd say to their fans, like I'm saying with Leeds fans, we are we're just gonna have to wait for hopefully, and then get someone later on who could have gone to Europe, but it hadn't materialised, and then we can pick them up. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think the statement signing will happen later on, but that's why I loved last night so much, because the only thing that the problem with this strategy is that your players are not going to be ready for the first game, and that was the case last night. Leeds United, in terms of an attacking area, were not ready to play that game last night. Our front three last night was Pro, who played for us in the Championship, Dan James, and Nonto, who was our second choice winger on the left hand side under Solomon, and that was our starting three last night. And that can be an issue. And it was so nice that we managed to get through that game without the attacking presence. And I know we obviously missed creativity in the final third, and we missed a bit of a sort of attacking sort of edge in the final third. But we managed to get it over the line regardless of the new signings coming in. And that's so important, because it would have been a missed opportunity against Everton without the new players to do that. I think Arsenal's slightly different, because I think that isn't, when Leeds United fans look at the fixtures, and this is what Farke will be doing, we won't be targeting Arsenal as a game where we're going to get points in. So if we were to lose that game, the chances are we'd have probably lost it anyway. I don't want to be negative, but that is the chance of it. And then the week after that, we play Newcastle. So for anyone that doesn't know, we play Newcastle on the 30th, and the window shuts on the 1st, so a few days later. So Newcastle again, hopefully we'll have the likes of Okafor in the team. I think Okafor will probably win the team for Arsenal, but hopefully we'll have a few more bodies in as well for that game. And then we can sort of go, and then we can sort of play with a near on full strength team. But then after that, the transfer window shuts on the 1st of September, and we don't actually play again in the league until Fulham, which is on the 13th. So then you've got near on a 2-week period or 12 days after the window shuts, because it's an international break, to then embed the new players into the team, and then you can go and we'll have a full strength team ready to go for the Fulham game, which again is a game that Leeds United should be targeting to try to get points in. And then I think we play Wolves after that away as well. Another game we should definitely be targeting points in, and the team will be ready to go. So it's only going to be Everton, where we don't have a full strength team, which we've won anyway now. Arsenal, which was a tricky game anyway, and Newcastle at home, which is again another one that's annoying, because I do think with the way their summer's gone, that could have been a game for points. But that's why it was massive last night. We got the 3 points because we didn't have a full strength team and we managed to get it over the line from a set piece. It didn't matter how we won yesterday; it was just getting it over the line. But it was nice to see a performance as well. But yeah, and also with Newcastle, all right, we're not going to have a full strength team for Newcastle, but I think they're going to be in the same boat as us. I don't think they will either. So if we'd have played them 3 months down the line, they'd probably have a better team, because they're going to be without Isaac, aren't they? Because he's probably going to be refusing to play or going to have signed for Liverpool. So at that point when we play him, because the window won't have shut yet, so he definitely won't be integrated back into the team. I'd be very surprised. So it works both ways as well. We're not going to have a full strength team ready for the Newcastle game, but neither are they either. So I think they're a good team to play last night, as I think Everton were last night as well. But yeah, that is the video today. Thanks for watching, as always. I'm also going to come back, as I said, later and do a sort of final chat about the game last night, because there's loads of bits that I didn't pick up on match reaction, which I probably should have done, that I want to talk upon, because there's tons of talking about, because it's the first game of the season, because we're playing a new system. I think there's loads of stuff. So, as I said, keep your eye out for that. I'm expecting that to be a really good video, actually. I'm hoping. So yeah, keep your eye out for that. But yeah, thanks all for watching, as always. And we'll be back tomorrow as well for the transfer news. These transfer news videos are going to go out every single day, and they've been doing really well. So, but yeah, thanks all for watching, and I will see you later, everybody. Bye for now.